So, like the vast majority of Americans, I struggle with my weight. Growing up, I was a skinny little waif that if you blew on me, I would fly into the wind like a leaf, never to be seen again. When I was 16, I barely weighed enough to donate blood. That all changed in my late teens once I was put on antidepressants, which caused me to gain about 25 pounds, weight that I didn't even realize had melted off as soon as I got off antidepressants until my sophomore year of college when I was out with a girl I had a massive crush on and my pants kept falling down. My early 20s was undoubtedly when I was in the best shape of my life. My mother had bought me a 3 year gym membership for my 21st birthday. I was getting coached by my uncle, who was a professional fitness instructor. But then the gym membership ran out, and I simply couldn't afford to continue it given I was making very little money at the time. So I was stuck with working out at home. Ever since then, my weight has yo yoed up and down. By 2018, with the help of a food log and keeping myself off antidepressants or anti anxiety drugs, I was able to get myself down to about 143, which for my vertically challenged frame was actually a pretty decent middle of the road place to be. At least I thought so. But then several things happened at once that tossed me off that healthy wagon. Moving in with my then girlfriend, resigning from my job, and of course, the pandemic. Now, pretty much everyone got fat during the pandemic, so for a while I wasn't that hard on myself. But then things started opening back up again. Life was resuming, and I was running out of excuses for still being fat. And I think just before I went away to Maui, I was almost 190 pounds, which is the heaviest I'd ever been. My blood pressure was elevated. I wasn't doing well. I wasn't getting enough exercise. We were ordering way too much Uber Eats still because I resigned from my job. I was home all the time, which meant I had way more opportunities to snack. And my fiance, being a type 1 diabetic, keeps a lot of snacks around the house for when her blood sugar gets low. So the temptation was there, and I was losing to it. That's when I made the decision last October to join a gym again for the first time in 16 years. A great first step for sure, but of course it was the first time I'd set foot in a gym since my early 20s. I was nervous, I was intimidated, I didn't know what I was doing. I needed help. So for the first time in my life, I hired a trainer. But I didn't want to just hire any trainer. I needed it to be somebody I felt comfortable around, someone I trusted, and I was about to spend a lot of money, and I need to make sure that money wasn't wasted. So, this is woman I met in a Facebook group whom I've known for probably 10 years now. I wouldn't call us close. She was kind of more like one of those people in your friends list who's just kind of there. You engage with each other every now and then, like each other's posts, but it's not like you have deep, meaningful conversations very often or meet up in person. Not that her and I could ever meet up since she currently lives in Arkansas with her husband. Very attractive girl, definitely keeps in shape, and recently she got hired by a mobile fitness app as a trainer. So I was bold enough to ask, would you be willing to train me? And she seemed excited at the prospect. I was going to be her very first client. And I was excited because I was going to be trained by someone who I was already acquainted with. So I knew I was going to be immediately comfortable and I'd be able to converse with her easily. And it was going to be a win win for both of us, right? Right? Yeah, no. It was immediately uncomfortable. First of all, the fitness app that she works for, it's this app called Kickoff. It came out in 2019, so it's a fairly new app. It's just not a good app. It clearly needed a couple more rounds of QA testing before it debuted. It reminds me of a desktop website from 20 years ago. The user interface is extremely unintuitive. It has broken features. It's constantly pestering you with feedback requests. There's no database or directory to look up fitness and nutrition information, no community. It's very bare bones. They micromanage their customer trainer interactions to a scary degree. But what was much more problematic than all of that was that my trainer was clearly not in sync with the mission of this app, which is definitely to provide a customer-centered experience, an experience in which you control your workouts and overall center your entire fitness experience around your needs and comfort level. There is a giant survey that the app has you fill out when you first sign up that's even designed to match you with a suitable trainer, like a fraud dating site for trainers. But my trainer took the complete opposite approach. She had never professionally trained a paying client before, and it unfortunately showed. In retrospect, from the outset, it was pretty clear she was just winging it. She was just throwing exercises at me with little instruction, regardless of my expertise or even whether or not I had the equipment or space to perform such exercises. Anytime I brought up any of these concerns to her, which were perfectly legitimate concerns, she would brush them off, acting annoyed. I could practically hear her eyes rolling into her head. There were times where I would feel sore for 3 days, and when I told her this, she pretty much told me to suck it up. She told me that the first 2 months were going to be shitty, and then after 2 months passed, it became the first 6 months were going to be shitty. But we never got a chance to pass that 6 month landmark, by which point I probably would have gotten seriously injured. As it is, I sprained my foot 2 weeks ago while doing deadlifts, and it still hasn't fully healed. You see, a week ago, we had a meeting in which I expressed my desire to transition from doing a home workout once a week and 2 gym workouts to 3 gym workouts. Obviously, when you're only remote training with someone, there's no one there to spot you or make sure you're performing your workouts correctly. At least if I'm in the gym working on the machines, there's less of a chance of me making a mistake or hurting myself. I wasn't making an unreasonable request, and also, I do have a gym membership that I like to make the most out of. Nevertheless, once again, my trainer acted annoyed, like I was just making excuses or being lazy. She implied that my request to eliminate this 1 day a week home workout was a slight against her instruction, which admittedly had been pretty poor up to that point, but of course I never told her that. And then the coup de grace, she told me, "You're a grown man." That's right, now my trainer was my mother, apparently. And that's when I did something that could be considered uncharacteristic of me. I actually stood up for myself. I actually messaged her a little later and told her point blank, "I'm not paying you $95 a month to insult me. That's unacceptable." And believe me, I wanted to say so much more, but I left it at that out of my desire to continue our relationship after she walked back her comments and apologized. Unfortunately, this would not come to pass. She would not only double down, but shortly thereafter, she would message me a link to a men's support group on Facebook. And I mean, just message me the link. That's it. At this point, I asked if this was some kind of bad joke. Was she seriously suggesting that there was something mentally wrong with me just because I asked to make a change to my workout program? Her response to that was to block me. There are a few things that annoy me more than people who behave like assholes who then preemptively block you so you can't block them. It's like, oh, you're angry at me? Oh, you can't block me. I block you. I block you. Anyway, at this point, I knew that our relationship could not be salvaged, business or otherwise. I was very sullen over it for 2 or 3 days, and still am to an extent. I paused my membership and Kickoff. The app encouraged me to be brutally honest in my assessment of my coach, which I was, albeit reluctantly. Because I don't want this person to get in trouble. I don't want people to be fired after one incident. Unless it's truly egregious or unforgivable, I would much rather people learn from their mistakes and do better next time. And frankly, looking back, I'm not sure this woman is entirely mentally well. Over the last few years in particular, she makes a lot of these weird Facebook posts where she talks about people gossiping about her or trying to sabotage her. But she never goes into specifics. Just these vague, paranoid rants. I guess it was a red flag, but I ignored it, thinking it wouldn't be relevant to her training me in physical fitness. I don't know what's going to happen to this woman, but it is a shame that both our business and personal relationship are finished. And I've learned my lesson not to mix the two in the future. And now I gotta find a new trainer. Until then, take care, you guys.